Hare Krishna. Good morning, good afternoon. Hare Krishna. So yesterday in his class, David Dirgovinda spoke about the pastime of Haridas Thakur. And it just happened that in my personal reading, that's what I'm reading. And so, because I was very inspired by that pastime when I read it, I heard it many, many times, but I thought that I would like to share it with you. And also, I used to live in Boston Temple in the ashram there. And Saturday morning was the time for us to read Chaitanya Charitamrita. So today I'm going to read from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's Anti-Alila, volume 1. And I'm going to read from chapter 3, The Glories of Haridas Thakur. And I want to start on text 93. So before we start, we have an invocation. So you can repeat after me. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya
Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura
Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, we have Lord Chaitanya just behind you, watching over us. So this is the chapter is entitled The Glory of Haridas Thakur. And there is a few parts of this chapter. Just before the pastimes that we are going to read about, there was a pastime where Lord Chaitanya approached Haridas Thakur, and he spoke to Haridas Thakur and he said, how are going to the Yavanas, how are they going to be delivered? Because Lord Chaitanya is wondering what's going to happen to those people who are not part of the Vedic society, who are not studying the Veda, who are not within the Vedic paradigm. What is going to happen to those people? Yavana are described in this chapter. They are described as a society that are supporting the slaughtering of the cows. So it's really Lord Chaitanya is inquiring about us. He said to Haridas Thakur, what is going to happen to those people in Kali Yoga? Because how are they going to be delivered? There is no chance for them. And then Haridas Thakur he started to say, oh, come on, don't worry. Because you are here, that's why they are going to be delivered. Because you are here, and because of your holy name, because of the chanting of the holy name, they already have been delivered. That's basically what Haridas Thakur is saying to Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya is described as feeling really unhappy. So he's suffering because he's not sure. And then the role of a devotee is to reassure the Lord. Say, yes, they are going, because of your mercy, because how caring you are, because of the chanting of the holy name, because you came in a form of a devotee, because you came and you started this Sankirtan movement, then even the Yavana, even those who are born in society that murder the cows, murder the mother, even those people are already delivered by your presence. So Lord Chaitanya, he ended this conversation by saying like, wow, you really understand me deeply. So that Lord Chaitanya feels so understood, like you really understand my pastime, you really understand who I am, you understand why I came here. And Lord Chaitanya is wondering, how come he understand that? And we want to understand that Haridas Thakur is not even born in that Vedic society. Haridas Thakur is born in a Muslim society, which is outside of the Veda. The Muslims don't follow the Vedic culture. They eat cows. And so that's very relevant that Lord Chaitanya asked that question to Haridas Thakur, and Haridas Thakur respond with deep empathy and understanding of Lord Chaitanya's pastime of delivering the most fallen, us, and Lord Chaitanya feeling so understood and so connected with Haridas Thakur. So after that pastime, after that conversation between Lord Chaitanya and Haridas Thakur, Lord Chaitanya leaves, and that's where we're at. And Lord Chaitanya is going to glorify Haridas Thakur, his devotee. So this is text 93 of Antya Lila, chapter 3, entitled The Glories of Haridas Thakur, text 93. Tabe Mahaprabhu Nija Bhakta Paseyana, Haridas Seraguna Kahe, Satamuka Ana. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to his personal devotees and began speaking about Haridas Thakur's transcendental qualities, as if he had hundreds of mouths. So the Lord, he was so eager, he wanted more mouths, he was so eager to speak about the qualities of his pure devotee. Bhakti Raguna Kaite Prabhu Rabadaye Ulasa Bhakta Gana Shestatate Shri Haridasam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu derives great pleasure from glorifying his devotees, and amongst the devotees, Haridas Thakur is the foremost. I'm going to not read the Bengali each time for us to have the full picture of what's happening here. The transcendental quality of Haridas Thakur are innumerable and unfathomable. One may describe a portion of them, but the count of them all is impossible. Sri Chaitanya Mangala, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, in Chaitanya Mangala, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has described the attribute of Haridas Thakur to some extent. So here, the Chaitanya Charitamrita is written by Krishnadas Kaviraj, and it's one of the biography of Lord Chaitanya, and regularly Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is referring to another biography of Lord Chaitanya called the Chaitanya Mangala, and here is really referring to that. They are described to some extent, and sometimes mainly in a beginning pastime of Lord Chaitanya, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami doesn't describe much of those pastimes because he says they are described extensively in the Chaitanya Mangala. So the later pastime, we can see that there is a lot more pastime, because it seems that Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur describes them to some extent, so there is a lot of space for Krishnadas Kaviraj to expand on those pastimes. No one can describe all the quality of Haridas Thakur. One may say something about them just to purify himself. Oh, devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, please hear something about the qualities of Haridas Thakur that Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has not described in details. So he's giving himself permission to go into details because his superior, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, was his senior, didn't describe them in details. After leaving his home, Haridas Thakur stayed for some time in the forest of Benapola. I'm going to read the Bengali here because we have also a purport. Nirjanavane kutira kari tulasi sevana Ratritene Tina Lakshal Nama Sankirtana. Haridas Thakur constructed a cottage in a solitary forest. There he planted a tulasi plant, and in front of the tulasi he will chant the holy name of the Lord 300,000 times daily. It chanted throughout the entire day and night. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The village of Benapole is situated in the district of Yashohara, which is now in Bangladesh. Benapole is near the Banagano station, which is at the border of Bangladesh and may be reached by the Eastern Railway from Shelda station in Calcutta. So we can see here, like, in his purport, Srila Prabhupada gives us detail how to go to that place. And when I read those parts, I have two questions. Does Srila Prabhupada describe the railway station because he wants me to go there? Or my experience is that Srila Prabhupada describing those railway stations because he makes it so real. And for me, it makes it so real to have those detailed describe of how to go to that place, meaning that this place is a real place. It's not phantasmagory, it's not something like out of some imagination, it's a place we can visit. So Haridas Thakur, being the Acharya of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, is called Namacharya Haridas Thakur. From his personal example, we can understand that chanting the Hare Krishna mantra and becoming highly elevated in Krishna consciousness is very simple. Without difficulty, one can sit down anywhere, especially on the bank of the Ganges, Yamuna, or any sacred river, devise a sitting place or cottage, plant a tulsi, and before the tulasi, chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra undisturbed. Haridas Thakur used to chant the holy name on his beads 300,000 times daily, throughout the entire day and night. He will chant the 16 names of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. One should not, however, imitate Haridas Thakur, for no one else can chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra 300 times a day. Such a chanting is for the Mukta Purusha, or liberated souls. We can follow his example, however, by chanting 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra on beads every day and offering respect to the Tulasi plant. This is not at all difficult for anyone, and the process of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, with a vow before the Tulasi plant, has such a great spiritual potency that simply by doing this, one can become spiritually strong. Therefore, we request the member of the Hare Krishna movement to follow Haridas Thakur's example rigidly. Chanting 16 rounds does not take much time, nor is offering respect to the Tulasi plant difficult. The process has immense spiritual potency. One should not miss this opportunity. So, very simple process. Anybody can do it from anywhere. Regardless what's happening in the world, we can chant Hare Krishna. We can sit somewhere and chant Hare Krishna. And, and here also it's recommended to do that in front of Tulasi Devi, which is a plant that's a pure devotee of Krishna, who is really, really eager to serve Krishna, really, really eager to help us serve Krishna. Brahmanera kare kare bhiksha nirvana prabhave sakala loka karaye pujana. For his bodily maintenance, he will go to a Brahmana's house and beg some food. He was spiritually so influential that all the neighboring people worshipped him. So he wasn't very concerned about his maintenance. He knew that by chanting and worshipping the Tulasi Devi, he will receive what he needs, and he will go to the Brahmana to beg from them for something. But really what's happened, he was offering them the opportunity to worship him. It wasn't so much about his need, it was about him bestowing mercy upon them. And we will see later how that is done. There is some purport specifically about that. In the days of Haridas Thakur, the Brahmanas worshipped Narayan in the form of the Shalagram Shila. Therefore, begging from the Brahmana's house means taking Krishna Prasad, which is transcendental, nirguna. If we take food from the house of others, such as karmis, we shall have to share the quality of those whom we take alms. So here we can see like the quality of what we receive is going to really influence our character, is going to influence our consciousness. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took prasad in a house of Vaishnav. This is a general process. The members of the Krishna consciousness movement are advised not to take food from anywhere but a Vaishnav or Brahmana's house where deity worship is performed. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Vishayiran Ana Kaila Dusta Ain Mana. If a devotee takes alms or food from the house of a karmi who is simply interested in money, his mind will be unclean. We must always remember that a devotee's life is one of vairagya vidya, or renunciation and knowledge. Therefore, all devotees are warned not to live unnecessarily luxurious lives at the cost of others. Grihastha living within the jurisdiction of the temple must be especially careful not to imitate karmis by acquiring opulent clothing, food, and conveyance. As far as possible, this should be avoided. A member of the temple, whether Grihastha, Brahmachari, or Sannyas, must practice a life of renunciation, following in the footsteps of Haridas Thakur and the sixth Goswami. Otherwise, because Maya is very strong, at any time one may become a victim of Maya and fall down from spiritual life. So Srila Prabhupada is very caring here. He's telling us, protect yourself. The spiritual bhakti lata beach, like the spiritual creeper in the heart, is like a very sensitive sprout, or maybe it's a little plant. And it's our responsibility, if we are serious about spiritual life, to use our intelligence to protect that bhakti lata, to protect that plant, to protect it in so many ways. And here Srila Prabhupada emphasized by our association. If we associate with people whose main goal in life is to enjoy material life, to accumulate money, to have opulent clothing, or to be really, really like coming from greed about having more money, or greed about having more material facilities, then that may influence us, and we may go back to the illusion that happiness is going to be when my bank account is full, because I can see in my lifetime how this bhakti lata creeper is sensitive and fragile. Very easily we can get covered over. The quality of Maya is to Maya put us in a material consciousness, and Maya cover us to not be able to see spiritual consciousness. So in that covering, then that even if we have been strong in our spiritual life, even if we have achieved level of stages of spiritual life that we have felt like strong about, at any moment, this can be crushed and disappear completely. And we may completely be covered by illusion that the goal of life is to accumulate wealth, like material gain. Like there's a verse in the Bhagavatam that all occupational activity are meant for ultimate liberation. They should never be utilized to accumulate material gain. So yeah, of course we want to maintain our body and soul together. We want to go towards a healthy life, self-preservation, and that's all. The rest, our time is meant to cultivate our spiritual life. Yesterday, I was speaking with someone, I was speaking about an example that Srila Prabhupada gave about a bird in a cage. There's many people make plays out of that analogy. And the bird in the cage is imagining a woman, she have a lot of abundance and she have a little bird in the cage. And then she have friends coming over and all the time she spend a lot of time dusting and polishing and painting and decorating the cage. And she's not really paying attention to the bird and not really giving food to the bird. So she's very, very involved. Maybe she do a gold-plated cage and a very beautiful cage, and all our friends can see and oh, and be amazed by the cage. And then at the end of this story, the bird dies. So Prabhupada gives this analogy to really exemplify how when we spend our time and energy towards maintaining this body, towards like fulfilling the need of this body, the need of our senses, the need of our mind, we are doing the same thing. We are really spending a lot of time washing the cage, dusting the cage, spending time polishing the cage, and then the birds inside, our real self, our really alive self, is dying, like suffocating in material consciousness. So here, Srila Prabhupada is kindly helping us to remember our responsibility. So then the pastime goes on. A landholder named Ramachandra Khan was a zamindar of that district. So the zamindar is like, I imagine like someone in charge, like maybe a mayor or something like that. He was envious of Vaishnav and was therefore a great atheist. Unable to tolerate that such respect was being offered to Haridas Thakur, Ramachandra Khan planned in various ways to dishonor him. Konapakara Haridasera Chidrana Hipai, Veshia Gana, Gane Anikara Shedrera Upaya. By no means could he find any fault in the character of Haridas Thakur. Therefore, he called for local prostitute and began a plan to discredit His Holiness. This is typical of atheist men, but even among so-called religionists, sadhus, mendicants, sannyasis, and brahmachari, there are many enemies of the Krishna consciousness movement who always try to find fault in it, not considering that the movement is spreading automatically by the grace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who wanted it spread all over the world, in every town and village. We are trying to fulfill the Lord's desire, and our attempt has become fairly successful, but the enemy of this movement unnecessarily tried to find fault in it, exactly like the old rascal Ramachandra Khan, who opposed Haridas Thakur. I appreciate here that Ramachandra Khan couldn't find any fault in Haridas Thakur. He couldn't dig the dirt. Sometimes politicians, they do that to destroy each other. They try to dig dirt. There was no dirt to dig there. And then I also appreciated how Srila Prabhupada in a purport, he said, not considering that the movement is spreading automatically by the grace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that's what Haridas Thakur in the conversation before this pastime was telling to the Lord. Everyone is already liberated by your mercy. They are already, it's already done. Now we have the choice to participate or not. Like Arjuna, when he was on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, in the 11th chapter, he saw the universal form of the Lord. And in that, he saw the result of the war. The war wasn't fought yet. And still, he saw the result of the war. So similarly, in that, Haridas Thakur, he was able to see the result of Lord Chaitanya's mission. And he could see that everyone is liberated. And in this purpose, Srila Prabhupada still emphasized that this is going on. There's nothing we can do to stop it. What we can do is to participate in it, to be part of it or not. It's like every day the sun rises. It's going to happen regardless. We can be sleeping in door clothes and in the dark, or we can get up and be part of the sun rising, in any case, the sun is going to rise. So the sun of the Lord Chaitanya's movement is rising, regardless whatever people try to do to stop it. Veshiaganekae e vairagi Haridas tumisabakara iara varaigyadar manasa. Translation. Ramachandra Khan said to the prostitutes, "There is a mendicant named Haridas Thakur. All of you devise a way to deviate him from his vows of austerity." Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Devotional service in the path of Vairagya Vidya, renunciation and knowledge, is. Haridas Thakur was following this path, but Ramachandra Khan planned to induce him to break his vow. Renunciation means renunciation of sensual pleasure, especially the pleasure of sex. Therefore, brahmachari, sannyasi, or vanaprastha is strictly prohibited from having relationships with women. Haridas Thakur was strictly renounced, and thus Ramachandra Khan called for prostitutes, because prostitutes know how to break a man's vow of celibacy by their feminine influence, and thus pollute a mendicant or a person engaged in devotional life. It was possible for Ramachandra Khan to induce any other woman to break Haridas Thakur's vow, and therefore he called for prostitutes. Free mingling with women has never been possible in India, but for one who wanted to associate with society girls, they were available in the district of prostitutes. There were prostitutes in human society even in Lord Krishna's time, for it is said that the prostitute of Dwarka city came forth to receive the Lord. Although they were prostitutes, they were also devotees of Krishna. So there is no material impediment to devotional service, no occupation that can get in the way of devotional service. They were doing their service. I'm going to continue to read the pastime. Among the prostitutes, one attractive young girl was selected. "I shall attract the mind of Haridas Thakur," she promises, "with 3 days. Kanaka mora paikar yoka tomara sane tomara saita ekatra taridari yena ane. Ramachandra Khan said to the prostitute, "My constable will go with you, so that as soon as he sees you with Haridas Thakur, immediately he will arrest him and bring both of you to me." So in that verse indicates that there was still a sense that the leader of society was in charge of making sure that people were following Dharma, whatever Dharma. Like, if your Dharma is like religion is to be a Muslim, then the leader of society will make sure that you follow your Dharma, you follow the regulative principle of being a Muslim. And if you are presenting yourself as a Vaishnav, Ramachandra Khan wanted to find fault in the way Haridas Thakur was following the Vaishnav Dharma. So that indicates that 500 years ago, leaders still had that power and consciousness, even though it is misused here by Ramachandra Khan. The prostitute replied, "First, let me have union with him once. Then, the second time, I shall take your constable with me to arrest him." At night, the prostitute, after dressing herself most attractively, went to the cottage of Haridas Thakur with great jubilation. After offering obeisances to the tulsi plant, she went to the door of Haridas Thakur, offered him obeisances, and stood there. Exposing part of her body in his view, she sat down on the threshold of the door and spoke to him in very sweet words. "My dear Haridas Thakur, oh great preacher, great devotee, you are so beautifully built, and your youth is just beginning. Who is the woman who could control her mind after seeing you?" I'm eager to be united with you. My mind is greedy for this. If I don't obtain you, I shall not be able to keep my body and soul together. Haridas Thakur replied, I shall accept you without fail, but you will have to wait until I have finished my chanting. I finished chanting my regular rounds of my beads. Until that time, please sit and listen to the chanting of the holy name. As soon as I am finished, I shall fulfill your desires. Hearing this, the prostitute remained sitting there while Haridas Thakur chanted on his beads until the light of morning appeared. So he chanted all evening, all night, until the morning. When she saw that it was morning, the prostitute stood up and left. Coming before Ramachandra Khan, she informed him of all the news. She said, today Haridas Thakur has promised to enjoy with me. Tomorrow certainly I shall have union with him. The next night, when the prostitute came again, Haridas Thakur gave her many assurances. Last night you were disappointed. Please excuse my offense. I shall certainly accept you. Please sit down and hear the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra until my regular chanting is finished. Then your desire will surely be fulfilled. After offering her obeisances to the Tulasi plant and Haridas Thakur, she sat down at the door. Hearing Haridas Thakur chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, she also chanting, Oh my dear Hari, oh my dear Hari, purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Hearing, one can clearly see how a Vaishnava delivers a fallen soul by a transcendental trick. The prostitute came to pollute Haridas Thakur, but he took it as his duty to deliver the prostitute. As clearly demonstrated here, the process of deliverance is very simple. With faith and reverence, the prostitute associated with Haridas Thakur, who personally treated her material disease by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Also, the prostitute had an ulterior motive. Somehow or other, she got the association of a Vaishnava and satisfied by us occasionally chanting in imitation, Oh my Lord Hari, oh my Lord Hari. The conclusion is that association with a Vaishnava, chanting the holy name of the Lord and offering obeisances to the Tulasi plant, or a Vaishnava all lead one to become a transcendental devotee who is completely cleansed of all material contamination. When the night came to an end, the prostitute was restless. Seeing this, Haridas Thakur spoke to her as follows. Kotinama grahana yagya kari ekamase e diksha kariyachi aila asi sese. I have vowed to chant 10 million names in a month. I have taken these vows, but now it is nearing its end. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. If one regularly chants 333 times daily for a month, and then chants one time more, he will thus chant 10 million times. In this way, a devotee worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a worship is called Yagya. Yagya Sankirtana Prayer Yajantihi Sumeda Saha. Those whose intelligence is brilliant, accept this Harinam Yagya, the Yagya of chanting the holy name of the Lord. By performing this Yagya, one satisfies the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus attains perfection in spiritual life. According to external vision, Haridas Thakur belonged to the Mohammedan family. Nevertheless, because he engaged himself in performing the yagya of chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, he became a regularly initiated Brahman. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 3:33-6, Ya namadeya shravananu kirtanad, yad pravanad, yad smaranad api kvachit, Tvadopi sadhya savanaya kalpate kuta punaste bhagavan udarshanat. Even if a devotee comes from a family of dog-eaters, if he surrenders to the personality of Godhead, he immediately becomes a qualified Brahman and is immediately fit to perform yajna, whereas a person born in a family of Brahmanas has to wait until completing the reformatory process before he may be called Samkrita, purified. It is further said in Srimad Bhagavatam 12.1.42, Samkritya kriyaina rajasa samasavita prajaste bhakshaya isyanti mlechaya rajanya upitna. In this age of Kali, mlecha, or low-born people, we have not undergone the purifying process of samskar, who do not know how to apply that process in actual life and who are covered by the mud of passion and ignorance will test the posts of administrators. They will devour the citizen with their atheistic activities. A person who is not purified by the prescribed process of samskars is called asamkritya. But if one remains kriya-hina, even after being purified by initiation, in other words, if one fails to actually apply the principle of purity in his life, he remains an unpurified mlecha or yavana. On the other hand, we find that Haridas Thakur, also born in a mlecha and yavana family, became Nama Acharya Haridas Thakur because he performed the Nam Yagya a minimum of 300,000 times every day. Herein we find that Haridas Thakur strictly followed his regulative principle of chanting 300,000 times daily. Thus, when the prostitute became restless, he informed her that first he had to finish his chanting and then he will be able to satisfy her. Actually, Haridas Thakur chanting the holy name of the Lord for 3 nights continuously and gave the prostitute a chance to hear him. Thus, she became purified, as will be seen in the following verses. So, like, what I appreciate here is Haridas Thakur's faith, because he risked himself by giving his words. Because a Vaishnava, if he gives his word, he's going to follow through his commitment. A Vaishnava doesn't break his commitment. A Vaishnava, when he makes an agreement, he keeps it. So here like Haridas Thakur kind of make an agreement with the prostitute. However, he has such a faith in the holy name. He has such a firm, strong faith in the holy name that he knows that by having the prostitute associate with Tulasi Devi, associate with the holy name and associating with him, that all our material desires are going to be burned to ashes, and then he will see transformation. So let's see about the transformation. And so Haridas Thakur continued. I thought that today I will be able to finish my performance of yajna by chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. I tried my best to chant the holy name all night, but I still did not finish. Tomorrow I will surely finish and my vow will be fulfilled. Then it will be possible for me to enjoy with you in full freedom. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Haridas Thakur never wanted to enjoy the prostitute, but he tricked her to deliver her by giving her a chance to hear the holy name of the Lord while he chanted. Pure devotees chant the Hare Krishna mantra, and simply by hearing this chanting from a purified transcendental person, one is purified of all sinful activities, no matter how low-born or fallen one may be. As soon as one is thus completely free from the reaction of sinful activities, he is eligible to enter devotional service to the Lord. This is a process of engaging the fallen soul in devotional service. As Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7:28, Yesham tvam tagatam papam jananam punya karmanam tidvam vamoham nirmukta bhajanti mam dridavataha. Persons who have acted previously in previous lives and in this life with sinful activity, actions are completely eradicated and who are free from the duality of delusion, engage themselves in my service with determination. The prostitute returned to Ramachandra Khan and informing of what had happened. The next day, she came earlier at the beginning of the evening and stayed with Haridas Thakur. After offering obeisances to the Tulasi plant and Haridas Thakur, she sat down on the threshold of the room. Thus she began to hear Haridas Thakur chanting, and she also personally chanted, Hari, Hari, the holy name of the Lord. Today, it will be possible for me to finish my chanting, Haridas Thakur informed her. Then I shall satisfy your desires. That night, indeed, while Haridas Thakur was chanting, but by his association, the mind of the prostitute had changed. The prostitute, now purified, fell at the lotus feet of Haridas Thakur and confessed that Ramachandra Khan had appointed her to pollute him. Because I have taken the profession of a prostitute, she said, I have performed an unlimited sinful act. My Lord, be merciful to me, deliver my fallen soul. Haridas Thakur replied, I know everything about the conspiracy of Ramachandra Khan. He is nothing but an ignorant fool. Therefore, his activities do not make me feel unhappy. On the very day Ramachandra Khan was planning to intrigue against me, I would have left this place immediately. But because you came to me, I stay here for 3 days to deliver you. The prostitute said, kindly act as my spiritual master, instruct me in my duty by which to get relief from material existence. So, I'm going to read the instruction of Haridas Thakur, and I'm going to stop here because it's time. I like to read the purport too. So I will read the 2 instructions of Haridas Thakur and the 2 purport. Haridas Thakur replied, immediately go home and distribute to the Brahmins whatever property you have, then come back to this room and stay here forever in Krishna consciousness. And yesterday, Devi made a joke about the belonging of a prostitute being distributed by the Brahmanas. So let's hear more about that. Haridas Thakur's instruction that the prostitute should distribute to the Brahmanas all the property she had at home is very significant. Haridas Thakur never advised the prostitute to give charity to the so-called Dadrida Narayan, poor Narayan, or any other such a person. According to the Vedic civilization, charity should be given only to the qualified Brahmanas. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 1842, Samo Dharma Tapatso Cham Shantir Arjavan Evacha Kyanam Vigyanam Astikyam Brahma Karma Svabhavyajam. The Brahmana qualifications are truthfulness, control of the senses and mind, tolerance, simplicity, knowledge, practical application of transcendental knowledge in one's life, and full faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Persons engaged in pursuing spiritual understanding have no time to earn their livelihood. They depend completely on the mercy of the Lord, who said in Bhagavad Gita 9:22 that he personally cries to them all their necessities. Yoga Ksheham Vahamyaham. The Vedic civilization recommend that one give charity to Brahman and Sannyas, not to the so-called Dadrida Narayan. Narayan cannot be Daridra, nor can Daridra be Narayan. For those who are for these are contradictory terms. Atheistic men invent such a concoction and preach them to fools. But charity should actually be given to Brahmanas and sannyasis, because whatever money they get, they spend for Krishna. Whatever charity one gives to a Brahmana goes to Krishna, who says in Bhagavad Gita 9:27, Yat kaushi yatasnasi yat shu osi dadasi yat tapasyashi kunteya Thakur Shva Mad Arpanam. O son of Kunti, all that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away, as well as all austerities that you may perform, shall be done as an offering unto me. Everything actually belonged to Krishna, but so-called civilized men, unfortunately, think that everything belonged to them. This is the mistake of materialistic civilization. The prostitute, Veshia, had earned money by questionable means. So the prostitute, she had earned money by questionable means. And therefore, Haridas Thakur advised her to distribute to the Brahmana whatever she possessed. He was so merciful. He didn't want her to keep anything that she had accumulated through sinful activity. When Srila Rupa Goswami retired from family life, he distributed 50% of his income to the Brahmana and Vaishnava. A Brahmana knows that the absolute truth is, what the absolute truth is, and the Vaishnava, knowing the absolute truth, act on behalf of the absolute truth. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, generally, one earns money by many questionable means. Therefore, at some time, one should retire and distribute whatever one has to the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas who engage in devotional service by preaching the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, Haridas Thakur continued, chant the Hare Krishna mantra continuously and render service to the Tulasi plants by watering her and offering prayer to her. In this way, you will very soon get the opportunity to be sheltered at the lotus feet of Krishna. Purport. At least 5,000 years ago, Lord Shri Krishna expressed his desire that everyone surrender to him. Sarva dharmam parityajya mamekam saranam vraja. Why is it that people cannot do this? Krishna assures, aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayasyami masuchaha. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. Everyone is suffering from the result of sinful activities, but Krishna says that if one surrenders unto him, he will protect one from sinful reaction. Modern civilization, however, is interested neither in Krishna nor in getting relief from sinful acts. Therefore, men are suffering. Surrender is the ultimate instruction of Bhagavad Gita. But for one who cannot surrender to the lotus feet of Krishna, it is better to chant the Hare Krishna mantra constantly under the instruction of Haridas Thakur. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we are teaching our followers to chant. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we are teaching our followers to chant the Hare Krishna mantra continuously on beats. Even those who are not accustomed to this practice are advised to chant at least 16 rounds on their beats so that they may be trained. Otherwise, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommends Trinadapi Sunichena, Tarorapi Saishnuna, Amanina Manadina Kirtaniya Sadari. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in an humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prejudice, and ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Sada means always. Haridas Thakur says, Nirantara Namalao, chant the Hare Krishna mantra without stopping. Also, Krishna wants everyone to surrender to his lotus feet because of people's sinful activities. They cannot do that. Do this. Namam dus kritino muda, prapadyante naradama. Rascals and fools, the lowest among men who engage in sinful activities, cannot suddenly surrender to the lotus feet of Krishna. Nevertheless, if they begin chanting the Hare Krishna mantra and rendering service to the Tulasi plant, they will very soon be able to surrender. One real duty is to surrender to the lotus feet of Krishna, but if one is unable to do so, he shall adopt this process as instructed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his most confidential servant, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur. This is a way to achieve success in Krishna consciousness. I'm going to stop here. It's time to stop. I I wish we could just do that all day, reading from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And what's happened after that is a prostitute, she follows the instruction of her spiritual master. And in fact, she starts chanting 300,000 name of Krishna every day. And then she gave up everything. And very soon the people around, they began to really watch, like being in completely awe of the power of Haridas Thakur to transform a prostitute. And then they begin to take shelter at the prostitute and bring so many goods that every day she have everything to keep her body and mind together and everything for her maintenance. Jai. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Any comment, question, discussion about these beautiful pastimes of and glories of Haridas Thakur? Yes.
Yes, I have a question.
Is it?
So you mentioned what to me seems like contradictions of, you mentioned even the prostitutes were devotees of Krishna and like that was their service. And then towards the end, you mentioned the prostitute had earned her money in sinful or questionable ways. So how do the two make sense? Like,
so there is a tension there. How can a prostitute who performs so many sinful activity, or like she's working with sex life and sinful activity, can at the same time be a devotee of Krishna?
Or like how can that be considered service?
And then at the end, Haridas Thakur needed to put so much energy there to clear sinful activity for her to come to that. So it's considered service. Srila Prabhupada explained here, like in a Vedic time, in a Vedic society, like women are not seen, like women are really protected, and they are not under the gaze of lusty desire of men in general. And so a woman will not go in the street, they will not be seen. And so we understand that at any time, during any time, even during the Vedic time, there is men who have a hard time controlling their senses. Like there is men who have a hard time controlling their tongue, and then because of that, there is some regulation for one to eat meat. Yeah. So for the men who don't control their senses, then there is some women who are trained and who, kind of their dharma, their material dharma is to be prostitutes. And then like that, they serve societies. They keep peace in society, that the women who are protected, they are not attacked by those kind of men. And then it's just a position in society that a woman will take that position. And we can see there's a pastime even when Krishna went to Mathura 5,000 years ago, he met with Kubja. Like Krishna arrived in Mathura, and all the women, they went on top of their building or the window, and they were watching Krishna, and they felt so much attraction towards Krishna. Like the gopis also, they feel so much attraction. Everybody is attracted by Krishna. But Kubja, she was in the street because she was a prostitute. She was able to speak to Krishna directly. And she invited Krishna. She said, please come, I will take care of you. She had lusty desire and she wanted to enjoy with Krishna. And Krishna did go to enjoy with Kubja. And she was a prostitute and she was a devotee of Krishna. She was so attracted by Krishna. And so like that's what Srila Prabhupada said. That even 5,000 years ago, even in Dwarka, there was such people in Dwarka, they are all devotees, they all admire Krishna, they are all attracted to Krishna. And even in those times, they were prostitutes and they were devotees of Krishna. Those prostitutes were devotees of Krishna. We're not saying every prostitute is a devotee of Krishna. This one wasn't, but by association with a devotee, she became a devotee of Krishna. Yeah. Does that respond to your question?
Sure.
Yeah, it's a profession. It's a profession that serves society, to keep society peaceful.
And it's simultaneously sinful?
And it's simultaneously, they engage in sinful activities, yeah? They do engage in sinful activities. And those sinful activities, they engage in sinful activities, activities that 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 lead to a reaction. But at the same time, because it's a service, they probably don't have that spirit of enjoyment as much than the men who come to visit them.
Mm.
So it's like even like in the heart of those women in Krishna book, like there is really a repentance. Like that's what I'm doing. That's my profession, and there is so much repentance at the same time. And that repentance and that humility leads them to be able to be devotees of Krishna. Mm. Because they are repentant, like, look at us, we are so fallen, so sinful, and we are so far from you. And that's their qualification, Trinada Pisunichena. That's what Srila Prabhupada just said in the last purport, that if we can not surrender to Krishna, can chant the holy name, and if we cannot like go to that humility. And in Krishna books, it's nicely explained how they're really like, their heart is so clean because of their repentance. Mm. Yeah. They are really deep mood of repentance, of understanding what they are doing, and are really feeling that humility from their repentance. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you for your question.
I can follow with that, to follow up on that. Is that okay?
Please, Patrick.
I think something that's helpful for me is to think about the Vedic culture, even 500 years ago, even in India, 500 years ago, and what to mention of 5,000 years ago, Varnashram Dharma, it's not recommended for us today. There's lots of things that we find in the histories that aren't recommended for us, like Kshatriyas were, allowed to hunt and kill animals, for training and eat meat. And, there's Yudhisthira is gambling, Maharaj Yudhisthira is gambling. And so there's all these, the four regulative principles you can find, in the Vedic history, it was a different provisions or different regulations or way to engage those. And then Prabhupada has come to give us, we all should be striving for Brahminical standards, to be Brahmins. He wanted to create Brahmins, a Brahmin class. And at the same time, we could be don't need to be living like a Brahmin, but we can have the Brahminical standards. So we could be doing administration, politics, or, business life or household life or whatever, but be striving for Brahminical standards and following the four regulative principles and not trying to imitate or follow some, even what's in India today or 500 years ago, or the Vedic culture, but at the same time to establish Varnashram Dharma, but to do it in a he gave a different path to get to that Varnashram Dharma.
Thank you, Patrick. I guess what your main point is that to not imitate, and there was leniency in a system of Varna, and in a system of Varna you get some few examples like the Kshatriya killing animals, even eating meat, and even Yudhishthira Maharaj gambling, and the gambling being part of the Kshatriya life, and that at the same time that system cannot be transposed in Kali Yoga now. And even so, Srila Prabhupada wanted Varnashram Dharma. It doesn't mean that we imitate, we try to transpose something that was there 5,000 years ago to modern days of Vaishnav. The Devi Varnashram is, the Devi means divine ashram, a system of ashram and Varna. And Patrick, even like even in those activities that there is some those activities for the Kshatriya or the gambling, it's not that there was no reaction. Like when we read Bhagavatam, there is so many kings that are hunting, and each time after they hunt, there is something that's happened to them that leads them to a lot of suffering and pain. So it's not like it was no reaction. And also at the same time, there was some leniency for them to practice strength while hunting. Thank you, Patrick, for your comment. I appreciate that. and the necessity of an ashram dharma and the necessity of not imitating or transposing something from India or from the Vedic time to our modern day Western world. Anything else?
Hare Krishna, Marie.
Hi, Krishna.
Something that stuck out to me was when we were talking about you were talking about giving charity to Brahmins, and specifically was the point, I think that you mentioned that whatever wealth we create in our life, is there's some kind of contamination to it, like, or some kind of, like, when we have a lot of wealth, it means that, I don't know, it was something in the light of that. And I thought how, like, we can't do things in this world without, like, causing harm, like causing violence. This is a planet where one animal is food for another. And I was thinking how, well, 2 points. One, the value of giving the money to someone who has dedicated their life to God, and how important that is. And then the other point was that, yeah, like every time I do anything, I'm inevitably causing some degree of violence, especially in regards to my profession. I think this what the thing was. I mean, I'm a dentist, so in the process of helping people, you have to, you have to give injections, you have to do things like that. And I appreciate how, by giving up, like the prostitute giving up some of her material gain that she has gotten from things that had caused some degree of violence, it's kind of like receiving God's mercy. So, I don't know, I guess there's different professions, and I don't know, but I can see how even with all the well-meaning and everything that we have, just by being entangled in material nature, every time we do something, I don't know, it's I can see how there's some degree of violence in whatever I think we're doing. So it's nice to be able to receive mercy by giving up some of that. It's like personal liberation, but also receiving mercy and forgiveness for some of the violence, unconscious or conscious, I guess, that is happening. So that just kind of came alive for me this morning.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate. In fact, in the next few pages, following of what we read, Srila Prabhupada go in the details of that giving in charity. And he goes into details, and he really explained very nicely that, in fact, yeah, the prostitute, what she had was probably not of great interest for the Brahmans or the Vaishnav. But the Brahman and the Vaishnav receive donation and receive what she will give for the purification, because they will offer it to Krishna. Then by receiving, they benefit her. They don't benefit themselves, they benefit her. And in the case of the prostitute, Haridas Thakur asked her to give everything, because she specifically performed sinful activity to gather or accumulate her wealth. So he asked her to give everything to really purify their lives. And I appreciate what you said, like we are committing sinful activity, or we are going to create harms. Like if I drive anywhere, I'm probably killing so many insects or ants, or even when I walk in the street, or I breathe and I kill germs. So any endeavor is covering by fault. It's in the Bhagavad Gita. Every endeavor is covered by fault. And then our responsibility is first to minimize violence as much as we can, to the degree of our power to minimize violence. And then the other, to increase all our activity and to increase our devotional service, and to increase the quality of our activities and our consciousness in our activities, to make them directed towards Krishna. Because even if I walk in the street and I'm chanting japa, I will kill entities. And if I'm doing that purely chanting Krishna's name, then those living entities, they get liberation. And so to the degree that we are focused and we purely live our life, we also have the power to transform those so-called harmful activities into benevolent activities. And yeah, I appreciate every endeavor is covered by some fault. So in this material world, it's very, very difficult, even more so in this modern society, to not cause some harm and to not be involved in some kind of sinful activity or another.
Thank you, Maria. I appreciate that so much.
Yes. And yeah, our responsibility is to purify if we see that we have earned something from sinful activities, to be aware, well, that if I give it to spreading the Lord Chaitanya's mission, then those sinful activities are going to be purified. Thank you, George. Anything else?
Hi, Krishna.
Hi, Krishna.
Thank you, Malini, for the class.
Hi.
I was really appreciating this story, thinking about how it was just like this intensive seminar this prostitute went through, like, to the environment and the activities that were being performed and that she was exposed to, like, it just had such a powerful effect on her and transformed her over the course of the 3 days. So I'm just really kind of just sitting with that and just like, wow, it's such a big deal. And then thinking about like Srila Prabhupada, and when he was running around and doing his magic, like how many individuals were so deeply moved that they just like took to following his instructions and his leadership. Yeah, just thinking about like the power of a pure devotee, and the effects that they have on an individual and changing their and assisting in the transformation of their consciousness and their just their awareness. And so yeah, I don't know, I just wanted to mention that's what's happening for me. I'm just kind of like, it's such a big deal. Yeah. And I also wonder like what, like, because I like, how many like other examples are there of that sort of experience where individuals are just like completely like, they're just, they wake up to who they really are just by the contact of a pure devotee. So I don't know, just thinking about that.
Yeah, I appreciate your comment, Gaetano, back to Gaetano. Yeah, because we can see from this pastime when the prostitute, she was a young prostitute, she really was puffed up, like, I can do it, like she was a young girl, she felt pretty, she said, no problem, I volunteer, I'm going to do it, it's in my pocket. So not only like she was a prostitute, but she had some kind of really big ego. We can see that she really was really sure of herself. And then what you're saying, like 3 days, like clearing, transformation, a big seminar, 3-day seminar, in contact with Tulasi Devi, in contact with the Mahamantra, in contact with the pure devotee. And in that, she became so purified so quickly. And that potency of transformation, you see that same potency of transformation in the pastime of Srila Prabhupada. How he came to the West, and like, yeah, everybody was dressed like a prostitute in a sense, all the women, and loose and in peace, love, and sex and rock and roll. And that's really was he came to. People were like sinful, puffed up, they were thinking, I'm God. Not even they were thinking, I have that in my pocket, but they were thinking, I'm God. And same thing, in just a few days of chanting with Srila Prabhupada's presence, they went through like miraculous transformation. completely miraculous transformation. And Prabhupada didn't even ask them. Like it's not like Haridas Thakur didn't ask the prostitute at any moment to transform. He continued to tell her, yeah, I will fulfill your desire. Yes, I will fulfill the desire. He didn't say, oh, you should chant, or, you know, you should purify yourself. He had such a strong, unflinching faith in the purity of the process of Bhakti Yoga, of the Tulasi Devi, of the holy name, that he knew that just in the presence of that potency of transcendental energy, that she will be transformed. Yeah, and that's a big deal, like you said. That's a big deal. Thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's a very easy to see, like, what a pure devotee, the effects a pure devotee has on the world.
The world, yeah. The world is served by the pure devotee and is served by Lord Chaitanya. And yeah, just a moment of contact, nimisha, that's just a moment in contact with the pure devotee that's clear, layers and layers and layers and layers of reaction to sinful activity for many, many lifetimes. And we can see that, you know, I not like when we, you know, we are not pure ourselves, but we are endeavor to be via the medias to Srila Prabhupada. We are all carrying that. We are all carrying his purity to our services, even covered with fault, to him. And we can all see that we have example in our life of people coming and within a few days of chanting, within a few days of reading Srila Prabhupada's book, like layers of dropping, like really a change of consciousness, a change of activities, a change of attitude happening very quickly. So it's completely available right now to anyone to have the same transformation and the same experience that the prostitute with Haridas Thakur. Yeah. Thank you, Bhakta Gatano.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Bhaktin Ann.
Yes, Hare Krishna. I was trying to start my video. Let me see if I can do that. Yeah, there I am. Okay. So I was thinking of a question that Anandini asked me in my response to our Chaitanya Charita class. What is the reformatory stage? Because there's 3 births. And so in your class this morning, it became more clear, just as you were describing to Gaetano, that's the transformation in someone's heart, is opening them up to the Hare Krishna Mahamantra that cleanses the heart. Mm-hmm. And so I really resonated with your response. And I also wanted to share that in the beginning, for me, that was true. And then there was actually a real painful reaction to me, like the person that I was actually envisioning myself as like dying, like I had a vision that I was going to die the very next day, and I wanted to be urgent about what was I going to do with my life. And so it was almost like a rebirth to say, this is who I am, and I cannot continue to live in the world that I had created before now. So I always what's happening for me now, and what going this day forward, what is my what is my faith, and who am I, and how am I going to show up in the world? And so I really appreciate the beauty of this story, because she was totally transformed and she continued her commitment, and it just says, this day forward, this is who I am. Mm-hmm. So I'm just really appreciating this lovely story.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Anne. Quite amazing story you are sharing about your own transformation. Yeah, I appreciate you highlighting, like, she, from a rich prostitute where really abundance, you have a lot of abundance and jewelry, a lot of of clothing and food and access to beautiful houses and all that. From that, she went to like putting just one clothes on. It's described later on that she just put one sari, not even choli, just one piece of clothes she put on herself. And she sat down in front of the tulasi and she started chanting. And that's it. That was her life. And she owned her transformation. And okay, now that's who I am. That all life doesn't exist. She like a rebirth. I know in a Christian church they have that something like born again. And so the prostitute is completely born again. And you realize like in your own experience, you had that like really intensive transformation, like where you really felt like someone was dying, and then you make place for like, that's who I am, like the prostitute, and you're highlighting that part of the pastimes as parallel to your own experience of transformation. Yeah, thank you. I like that. Like, yeah, like from one day to the next, she completely transformed externally, or all her life transformed like that. And then, yeah, she became the wise woman and the sage and the person to whom everybody was taking shelter of in the village.
Yes, and that it can happen in an instant. That's so amazing.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Bhaktinan.
Haribol. Hare Krishna, everybody. I just wanted to share some personal experience of trying to imitate Haridas Thakur subtly or grossly time after time. And like growing in a very sheltering atmosphere in the temple, it really gave me the strength to experience what Haridas Thakur, what Prabhupada was describing there about the holy name, how pure it is, and that mantra. I think you recited this mantra in the purport that even a dog eater even someone born in the dog eater, Smaranam, Yat Karanam, something like that, he is eligible to perform fire sacrifices. And I remember like living in Montreal in a park extension district, like going into bars and pulling people out and bringing them to the temple, to the love feast. And it was really real, like the holy name transforms people like that, like womanmongers, prostitutes, but yeah, then after, and like what it really solidified in my heart is that this faith that seeing how the holy name can transform someone and not fearing that the holy name will not keep me safe. I always felt like, okay, if Krishna elevates fallen people that not following anything, that surely he will keep me safe, like in any circumstance. But then when I just left the temple premises and started traveling, I had like a fall down a year after. I got entangled with this woman. I mean, I don't want to call her a prostitute or whatever, but I think I was a prostitute there. And yeah, just how this temple environment and sheltering community is so important to experience the sheltering potency of the holy name. That's kind of what I wanted to share. Yeah.
Sangha.
Sangha.
For Sangha, I appreciate that when you were in that boiling atmosphere, like really like at the core of the fire, Prabhupada describes that when you have a fire and you put an iron rod in the fire, then by the iron rod being in the fire, the iron rod takes the same quality, even the iron is black and cold and heavy. And when you put the iron rod in the fire, it becomes red, and anything that will touch that iron rod is going to be burned. So the iron rod takes the same qualities in the fire. So in the fire of devotional service, within that sheltering atmosphere of the temple and ashram, everybody practicing, then you felt a lot of strength. You felt, oh, I am fire. And you could see like the purity that was there, and then away from the sangha, away from the protection, away from the association, you felt yourself become weaker. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that highlighting this point of how important it is, the Sangha, to be together, and that's what we are doing right now. We are reading Chaitanya Charitamrita together, supporting each other to be strong in spiritual life, supporting each other. And also, I appreciate the beginning of your sharing, Ramachandra. You remind me of the poetry from Srila Prabhupada, where he say, "I have no qualification. You know, why did you bring me here? I have no qualification." And he said, "My only qualification is I have a strong faith in the holy name." And that's that Prabhupada's qualification of his strong faith in the holy name. He came to that place where people don't know even the Vedic culture. There are no sense of cleanliness, no sense of austerity, no sense of sacrifice. They are just
Prostitute.
busy making money, busy trying to find comfort in material enjoyment. And how will I preach to them? How can I do anything? And he said in that poetry that where his strength is that he has firm faith in the holy name, that the holy name has the power to transform anyone. And that's Lord Chaitanya's sublime movement, that he can, by his presence on earth and by reenacting his Sankirtan movement, that he already has saved everyone.
Mm. Sure.
Jai.
Okay. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I just have a short comment that I felt like it took me 4 to 6 months of chanting Hare Krishna, the Maha Mantra, before I was like, I was like open because I trusted both of you, Mother Malini and dear Govinda Prabhu. But it was really hard to let go of my previous conception of how to liberate myself, because I believed in liberating there's like an essential, like I had a humanistic perspective. Like I know that inside I knew and felt that every spirit is good at heart, and we're just covered over by patterns and habits and conditioning. But my previous method of liberation, which I did for 13 years, was emotional release processes, like healing, like tears heal sadness, and laughter heals, like there's anger release, and there's, all those releases. And it was like 10 years of conditioning that was the highest process. And it was, it felt liberating. I liberated myself from a lot in 10 years, over a decade. So to be from that conditioning and never having a relationship with God, to being told, here's a mantra that will really liberate you, like in an eternal level or on the soul level or something, I was like, I don't know, like, it was difficult to believe and have faith in it, but I thought I had better give it a good shot, because, especially give it a shot to have a relationship with God. Mm-hmm. And it did make sense to me chanting God's names. So I had to just take it piece by piece and like build faith. I don't know, I just thought I'd share, like,
yeah.
That's right.
It seems that you had faith that chanting the name of God will bring you closer to God. But the faith, like on another level, because your approach to liberation was working with personal growth things, that just chanting a mantra, you like had some doubts that you will create the same transformation than the work that you were doing before. And then,
yeah, and to add one more point is, if God's a person, so I didn't have a conception of God as a person, but I had a conception of the universe, or like spiritual energy. I was like, yeah, I even believed in reincarnation. Anyway, just, it's funny how we have so many concepts and that we build and then have to deconstruct and, rebuild. And anyway, so yeah, if God's a person, then yeah, chanting his name makes a lot of sense. That's all.
Thank you, Dominic. Thank you for your sharing. Thank you all for being together and enjoying and relishing the pastime of Haridas Thakur. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I think we want to keep it on because Dominic is going to do some sound testing. I'm not quite understanding, but something.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Speakers or something.
Radhe Radhe.
Hare Krishna. Everyone, you're welcome to stay. We're going to do some sound testing.
I'm going to come back because I'm not able to stop the recording without exiting.
Oh.
Are you hosting?